Okay, hi everyone. Back once again. One second. It, anyway, don't worry about that. Sorry about not, getting that other. Well, I got it done and I had the recording all set up. But then the audio got corrupted and I didn't know how that worked, but now I know, and it was a learning adventure for me, to say the least. But what I am gonna give you here is Kushalos versus Atomic Llamas for Grand Slam playoffs, which should be interesting. Both of them are players that I'm pretty familiar with, the ones that I talk to on a fairly regular basis, so I should be able to get into the mindset of them a little bit better. And generally speaking, given that I've done one real commentary and one a little less than real, I think I got a few things to note. What is that? I sound super nasally over this. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's not how I sound. That's what I've been told I don't sound like all the time. But I don't really know, so I'm just gonna go with it. If you have a good mic, don't hesitate to send it to me. I will gladly take it. And that will improve my overall quality, maybe. But let's see. We are going to be seeing them play in a best of five series of five non-OU current metagame tiers. I'm not sure which one they are omitting yet because Kush did not tell me. So I'm just going to assume doubles because generally that's what's getting kicked. Okay. Two. Alright. So, it looks like they'll be getting started. And I will be closing up Skype soon after he says something to YouTube. Because I expect him to. Come on, Kush. You would think, as a past YouTuber himself, he would be a little more candid in his responses. But, whatever, man. Okay, he's not doing it, so I'm going to close Skype because I'm being professional, and we're going to get into the Little Cup game. And we see Kush with his favorite offensive spike stack versus Llamas team that I believe I saw before. Is this... This feels very reminiscent of a team he brought, actually versus Kush himself, during later stages in the Little Cup Slam. I don't recall exactly what it was, but I think Kush definitely has an advantage here because, alright, so he leads Ghastly on Mienfu. Now, this Ghastly is, okay, well, he just went right for it, and that is a trade that is definitely going to favor Kush, I feel, because now he has no real active way of pressuring that Theraseed, which can kind of just sit on itself and do whatever. He's going to need to knock it off and then pick it off with Diglett after a low amount of HP. If it has Protect, then it's going to be super threatening, and ooh, alright. So, okay, Kush does go ahead and knock off the Volby as Atomic Llamas does go for the U-turn. I'm imagining he's just going to not put up with this. He's going to go right to Diglett, because generally they'll either be Sash or they'll have... Oh, well, I guess not. I was going to say that, generally speaking, they will be having either Substitute or Focus Sash to play around with things. That would be... Whoops. I didn't close that, though. That would be for a download of Nil Franz's Spaces, quality electronic album. Got it with my subscription to a vinyl site. I'm getting way distracted. Alright. Anyway, so as I was mistaken to consider, that that Poniard seems to be choice scarfed, which good play on Llama's part, not ignoring the obvious issue here. But Kush is just keen on firing away with his Fairy Seed, assuming he's eventually gonna get knocked off anyway. With what between Poniard and the Vullaby, so he might as well go for that. If he doesn't have Leech Seed, that is much better for Llamas. It means that he will probably just be able to diddle around, but nope, there is the Leech Seed. And what did he show so far? Alright, so that would suggest that he probably doesn't have Protect. Generally speaking, these most players would want their Fairy Seed to be throwing up some kind of hazard, making some more out of their free turns. And based off that play, that might confirm that. I think that Kush's best play here is just Leech Seeding again. I mean, he doesn't really lose a whole lot otherwise. And okay, so that does show the spike. He doesn't have Protect, which is going to be a bit of a, well, I mean, it's not an objectively bad thing, but it's not as good of a thing for him. That said, his handle on Fletchinder right now is not very good at all. Mind you that it is a normal flying type in its pre-evolution, and ooh, sneaks in a little extra HP there. Alright. It shouldn't amount to much anything, it's just gonna get revenge killed by whatever. I mean, if he wants to bring in his Diglett, he can. I don't think there's that great of a necessity to do so, but because it's probably best that he just goes to Vullaby, throws... Well, he can't really throw a Brave Bird now, can't he? Because that would set up his Omastar. So yeah, I guess he does have to go to Diglett. Alright. Diglett will probably be Life Orb, so it's going to be keeping the Fletchinder honest to the point that it, at the very least, cannot just set up freely, but it's still going to remain a pretty big threat. And as I was saying, sorry, the normal flying bit applies in that Spritzy is actually going to be dealing pretty decent damage with Moonblast. It's going to be itemless. It can't afford Eviolite because that makes Acrobatics super weak when you want it to, actually, do damage. So at this point, it's going to have Sucker Punch, so Poniard can't really come in here. I think he's pretty pressed to go to Drillbur here. Yeah, Drillbur, and he kind of has to throw the EQ. But who knows? We could see him get aggressive here, but it doesn't seem like the kind of play that Kush would make in this position. He doesn't really have any great need to do any of that. I also don't think that Fletch is really the play because, again, that is his win condition here. The one thing that's pressing him with priority here is going to be this this Diglett itself, rather. So, yeah, he does go to the Drillbur. If we see an aggressive play from Llama, alright, yeah. I mean... Sub is moderately safe. It's not like this Diglett needs its HP for anything. It doesn't live hits. But there you have it. Kush. Again, I guess this comes from me knowing Kush, but he wouldn't go for that aggressive play there. And he chooses to just throw that out. That's probably safe. It means that his... Oh, wow, that... Oh, it got knocked off. Gracious, I am... probably need to pay more attention, but this Staryu rather can actually put in a bit of work here. Mind you, with its item knocked off, I'm pretty sure it can't eat a +2 hit from that Omastar should it boost up, because generally they're modest, and, well, honestly, a lot of them do pack HP Fire, which I personally dislike greatly. It's just kind of, and it hits the one Pokemon, well, two Pokemon if you count. Alright, well, he crits. I'm not sure if that matters. Does that matter? That is annoying. Okay, I'm gonna assume that's somewhat of a roll, but at the same time... I mean, it would put Llamas in a position where it could still play through things, but the Starmie would be at very low. Fletch could just click Brave Bird, or click Acrobatics rather, and then he would just be set. I don't think it would matter that much. Well, it would matter a little, but it wouldn't be game-ending. And he doesn't even throw the Sucker Punch, which leads me to believe maybe he doesn't have it, which is definitely an option, but I don't know. In Little Cup, I feel like even if the Pokemon isn't super strong, having that decently powered priority is going to get you some mileage, but we will see. And I'll get back to you in the next game of the series. Okay, and we're back with Ubers, everyone's favorite non-SBLing tiers. Sorry to Ubers players, really. I'll admit, a little biased, but I wanted to see Little Cup RBY. But I respect Ubers for what it is. I don't have any kind of outlandish claims for it. I think that it's a decent tier with a player base that I think really shows merit, but Kush seems to disagree. And it looks like Llamas is rocking, I think, the sample team that has been used by everyone everywhere. If I'm recalling correctly, this is probably Deoxys Speed. Or, well, I'm not wrong. So, if I'm recalling correctly, this is Skill Swap Deoxys Speed, which has a significant niche in being able to actually get up its one layer on Sableye. So we're going to be seeing that there. There's the skill swap, and he's getting his much-needed chip on Sableye. Sableye doesn't have a ton of value in this matchup, but it always has that element of uncertainty with the play. Like, if you see a Trapper, for example, you always have to play a little cautiously with your Ferrothorn or your Skarmory, because maybe the Magnezone will come in this turn, and you got to make those aggressive doubles to keep it from taking away your Mon before you want it gone. And the same thing applies with Darkrai, with throwing out its Dark Voids. Now, if Llamas wants to make a real play here, he would Dark Void. But I don't... Llamas has surprised me before. He's gotten better at... His trigger finger is a little bit stronger as of late, and he goes for it and gets punished, as you do when you play Kush. I'm kidding, of course, but you know how it goes. Now, this is where it comes back to that 50-50 type situation, because, okay, well, that's what I'm saying, trigger finger. Ooh! But seems like Kush does as well, which, this actually is a pretty, well, I can understand his position on that, because assuming that is a Arceus normal, which generally they are, you would very much want to be keeping Sableye healthy, so making that play rather than risking Sableye coming in on that Dark Pulse is probably better for Kush. And we just see him go for the linear play. Nothing surprising, because now he can just bring in the Primal Groudon, and it's honestly pretty threatening to Kush's team here, because if it throws something like a Fire Blast, I'm pretty sure that a lot of these variations are running a specially inclined Rock Polished Groudon, which Sweep hyped to hell. I remember a while ago for being able to push through things like Salamence that would normally come in to check such a Pokemon. But then again, there's always variations on this kind of thing. It could be like some kind of Sword Stance Thunder Wave variant, which is pretty neat. It has some definite value in the metagame, though I can't speak from that much experience. I'm not the most well-versed Ubers player, but I definitely see it as a Pokemon with merit, and it could come in handy right here, because it would push through Lugia pretty handily, I'd say. What with Thunder Wave and Rock Slide flinches. Also knowing Atomic Llama's affinity for Thunder Wave, being the skilled player that he is, I would be excited to see that, and it would obviously come into play in this much more defensively inclined matchup where his Kush's initial Groudon switching isn't as vexed by a specially inclined Groudon. Ooh, but he does just go for that play. Okay, so yeah, there is the Fire Blast, and I was wrong. That did a lot of damage, goodness gracious. Okay, credit to Sweep for that set. I'm pretty sure he's the one that made it. But yeah, I'd say that this Lugia, I don't think it'll be getting the miss anytime soon. Well, it could, but I think that it has a decent chance of coming out in this matchup. Really, you just have to see how how well the person can connect with their Fire Blast, but that is lame. So Arceus comes in wanting to preserve the Groudon. It's still a good Pokemon, definitely. I mean, you can just... He has the easy Ho-Oh sack for one turn, but it's a problem for sure. But, yeah. I was thinking maybe if that Arceus was Lum, it would have the chance to perhaps dodge 2 and then come back, put himself in some kind of playable position, but at this point, I am not so sure. I'm pretty sure Kush can consistently roost, and at that point, there's always the possibility, given that this is not Lum or Refresh on Arceus, that the Salamence is actually a Refresh variant, in which case it could maybe push through something. I say that very hesitantly because, I believe that would be Arceus Water here, given that having Primal Groudon as your only water switch is kind of iffy, especially if they bring the Kyogre directly into that Groudon, just on a general basis. But, he Geomancies there, which could suggest either block Rest, which would be threatening here, or Aromatherapy. Either could work here. I think, though, since that Primal Groudon is still rather healthy, it shouldn't be a problem for Kush. And he does make the correct play, sacks the Groudon, or sacks the Sableye, however, since it at that point has very little value. He misses the Focus Blast, adding insult to injury, as it were, and twice. Yeah, that's Pokemon for you, though. Not much else to say about that, but he does go for the Dragon Dance, which, I mean, it's not like it's his only play. It is his only play. Blah, 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 blah. I learned to talk. Would definitely be reflective of the Refresh variant, and that actually might be worse for him. No, it's not that bad. He would have ended up Thunder Waved at the end of that exchange anyway. I'm not sure what actively pressures that on this team. I'm pretty sure that none of these Pokemon will be carrying Ice Beam, but it is possible that Lugia does. Okay, so there we go. You see tons of different variants of this, and perhaps. And there's Dice with his obligatory I play Ubers, Dot. Glad to see him in my videos. Okay, but yeah, that's pretty much the game. He cannot actually break through 4 Pokemon with his Groudon. So, Kush leads the series 2-0 with a strong showing of good fortune. Maybe he'll just reveal his 4th move to be a good guy, but he doesn't. He wants to preserve the 4-0, even though he doesn't. So, lovely series again. I will get back to you with the 3rd game. Hopefully not the last one, because that would be really boring. Okay, and we're seeing the final game of any... Ooh, wow. Alright, I gotta say, little bit... Kush ended up playing me about... God damn it, Dice. Alright, so while Dice decides what to say, we'll get this game, and what I was gonna bring up is Kush actually, asked me to test this team just maybe like half an hour before this series started. I think it's a pretty neat one. Can't really describe that much, but it should be interesting. Anyway, what we see from that is a, pretty standard exchange. Not that standard, Thunderwave Mesprit. Some people use it because fighting types are super overbearing. One second. That's nice. Anyway, that's dice. Knowing, of course, my supremacy over the Joey Poke game. But, so. Mesprit into Sock. Sock knocks off into the Colberry as Llamas throws a T-Wave. U-turns out, ends up over-predicting versus the Sock and gets close combated. So that was a pretty safe play on Llama's part, generally because Sock are usually considered to be all-choiced, and Kush fortunately managed to pull the wool over his eyes with that play. So he does bring in the Fair Seed, and now Llamas is a bit of a disadvantage given that his fighting resist is taking damage slowly but surely, and given that that's a non-choiced Sock, that is not a very bulky Mesprit. He was not prepped for fighters at all. Well, not at all, but more aggressive ones like Sock, which, I do understand Sock is a very threatening Pokemon. And speaking of which, I don't know what he's honestly going to do there, because Knockoff has been shown to do 35 or so on the knocked off Colberless Mesprit, but I'm sure, well, I know what he's going to do with it. He's going to switch out, but, it did show Psychic, so really, Mesprit's the only, or Audino, so Mesprit is down, is the only thing that's really coming in on this, which is an issue I had with the team initially. It's kind of, Psychic Resist is Mesprit, which, I'll say right now, it doesn't have Signal Beam, but, interesting, he decides to just go for it. Yeah, that's a weird one. That's a weird one. I would have gone to the Audino there, personally, because, it can eat stuff, and the ability that it has, Regenerator, there you go. I know this game. Well, maybe it is a more defensive Mesprit. Maybe I'm just totally overestimating Mesprit's bulk, because I run all kinds of weird spreads. I very rarely am running just max on it, or some kind of defensive thing. But, yeah. Looks like Kush is complaining about getting haxed. No comment. But he does bring in Samurott here, and this is looking moderately difficult to deal with. Generally, Ferrothorn's always kind of an iffy switch into Samurott, given that either it'll be the special variant, which has Taunt and can shut it down unless it has something like Seed Bomb to mess with it, or it is Sword Stance, in which case it is going to be pressing for damage pretty efficiently. I want to say +2, he's doing about 40%, so this is definite 2-hit KO material. If Llamas has Protect, then he'll be able to mess around with things. But we'll have to see on that. He does show Knockoff, which would lead me to believe that that's his only attacking move, usually. Because, again, Protect, I feel, is so quintessential on Ferroseed. It relies so heavily, especially in this generation where, item removal is much more readily available to teams. It gains so much from having that Protect to be able to, scout a move or gain that extra turn of Leech Seed recovery. It really goes miles in it. So I'm assuming for that here. And that his other move would naturally be a hazard. There you go, the spikes. So if I think Llamas would Protect here. I think that, yeah, because, okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was probably a sassy Ferroseed, but what do I know, I guess. So he's going to go into the Rhydon on the predicted fake out. There's really no harm in doing that. It's, you know, Rhydon is not getting a ton of free turns in that, so it's good to see Kush trying to wring some value out of that. The Aqua Jet in torrent range from Samurai will definitely have some value in the endgame, especially because, generally speaking, Floatzels will be some kind of more aggressive special set, usually 3 attacks taunt. So that's probably his best play he can get from that. And if he doesn't have Bullet Punch, which, I mean, I don't like, but he does have it, so lame. I don't know, I've never liked Bullet Punch or Fake Out on Hariyama. Like, maybe I'll scoop for it every once in a while if I have, like, Toxic Spikes or a Toxic user that prominently brings those kind of Pokemon that Hariyama baits in. But it just doesn't feel like it gets enough value for me. I don't know. But if you have all those kind of residual effects like you do seem to have on this kind of team, I can say it's alright. That gets my seal of approval. But looking at the match right now, what does Kush have for Sock at this point? Everything is slower. I mean, this is going to be a Mega Audino, so I can probably eat one, but that's about it. And I think that all that Llamas has to do is sack Hariyama to something, send in Sock, click close combat, switch it out, send back in Sock, but, wait, oh my gosh, I'm stupid. I was playing, I was treating Stealth Rock and Spikes like 2-layer spikes, which, if I recall correctly, does 18.75, though I was told it might have been 16.66. I feel like that's wrong, though. Point being, I'm also dumb. Lesson learned. This is actually over. I was thinking that maybe if Samrock could crit an Aqua Jet on Sock, he would have a position, but no. He brings in Floatzel here, he clicks Pump, and that's about, yeah, he clicks Pump, and then Sock clicks Close Combat twice, and unless it's some really weird, zany Sock set. Okay. Ooh, what he could be doing here. Actually, I didn't even consider the possibility of this. Well, it isn't going to work out, obviously, but, what he was trying to do there was allow Ludicolo the turn to try to Rain Dance on the Floatzel. But now, maybe if it's a Scarf Sock, which none of them are ever, they're always banned, but I think his play here is to just click Giga Drain and hope that some kind of weirdly not good Sock set. But otherwise, yeah, that's game. Even if he's adamant he's timid, Sock will outspeed and Oko with close combat. So yeah, there you have it. Llamas bring it back, making the series more interesting. Alright, I will see you in the next game. Okay, and we're back. In RU, and not RU, alas. I guess they're saving the best for last. But yeah, that's fairly understandable. And both of these players do play a fair amount of UU. Well, generally that's one of the tiers that you'll see a lot of people playing with. And badly matchup for Kush. I figure this is... At this point, I'd say, yeah, as free at close combat as any, and Kyurem overestimating his offensive presence. I forget that it's some 90-something garbage. So, I was going to say this is free CC as anything, but I guess I was wrong. That said, Cobalion was hardly essential in this matchup. It switched in, it checked the Kyurem, and that was about it right here. So Llama's flaunting his favorite move, the Thunder Wave. Let's look into the teams now, shall we? I don't love how Llamas handles the move Scald here, given that I mean, if that's a lefty Zapdos or maybe a Refresh Salamence, maybe special, but I don't much care for special mints without Life Orb. It feels very weak to me, personally, and if he's gonna skimp out on that, then it's not a very good Scald Switching, is what I was trying to say, because it's taking all of that recoil on top of Stealth Rock damage, this, that, and the other thing. And regardless of any of that, he just showed Earthquake, which would suggest a probable Dragon Dance set, which makes sense. This is a pretty offensive-looking team. He brings in the P2 on, and once it... Alright, so he goes for the recover. That's a safe play, scouting the waters, but I don't think that I saw Kush going for any kind of attack there. He already showed that Tentacruel feels like a safe switch to him, which is understandable, and that's a Life Orb Zapdos. Yep, okay. So, Life Orb Zapdos, cool, definitely cool for these kind of matchups, because he has sort of other things to pivot into Scald, not that much, really, but sort of, which is always my main complaint when people use Zapdos, Life Orb Zapdos, that's said, as their primary Scald switching, because you're just burning yourself out way too fast. It's not an effective Pokemon, it's stretched too thin. And even that ideal that, you know, yeah, you're hitting like some kind of fucking truck is kind of put down by that, and didn't get that play. I think the idea was that Llamas was going to try to sneak Nidoking in there, which I sort of get, but I think Forge's HP is a little more valuable here, all things considered. That might come back to bite him. And can Houndoom eat a... He might be running Modest Zapdos, and if he calcs that, then we're good on him, but okay. If this is Taunt Doomer, which it's... okay. Yeah, that's a dubious play, because Houndoom's speed was really crucial in this matchup. His team becomes very susceptible to Nidoking with this in mind, but that could just be a standard clerical Florges, or simply a Calm Mind Aromatherapy one, which both are invalid. So yeah, there is the Nidoking, and Kush pretty much has to sack a thing here. I think that he can't afford to drop his Cobalion now, given that it just does it does a lot for him in terms of combating certain stuff at the cost of... Oh, what? No. Oh. 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 So, I guess that's suggestive of a choice Zapdos. Perhaps Specs, which is interesting. Something that I could definitely see Kush running, and that's a fast Tentacruel at that. So, wow. That or a very slow Nidoking. Perhaps Rash? Or, Modest. I don't know, I was assuming for physical attacks. But, alright then, that's justifiable. So at this point, it's probably best to sack Nidoking. It was good when it was at full health, when it could be, you know, threatening to come in on Cobalion, or Zapdos, or Florges. But at this HP, I don't think that you're wringing that much out of him. But he does go for the Flame Charge, which, is neat. It's a good means of keeping that Mint from DDing up without, you know, presenting that threat there, because otherwise it just DDs and then clicks the appropriate moves. It hits his Iron Tail, Floor just goes down. I'm pretty sure Cobalion can eat one, but it can't. Well, it could KO after Dark Pulse damage, so that's a passable play for sure. Did he... How healthy is P2? Yeah, he would be able to kill pretty much anything, and he was certainly not bringing in Sharpedo, because you don't switch Sharpedo into anything that it isn't immune to. That crit mattered. So that is unfortunate. I think that would have sealed the game. Yeah, well, I guess Llamas was thinking non-Mega Doom mindset, but, Choice Band would make a decent amount of sense. You know, I mean, maybe-ish. It's a weird Pokemon, but it could function here if he was assuming that Kush would bring balance, which he tends to bring, so that's fair. But yeah, he is without electric resist, and if that is in fact a choice specs Zapdos, this could be pretty threatening. I think that Kush's best play is just to stay in and T-Bolt again. There's a lot of risk presented to llamas here by throwing pretty much any move right here just in the position, because if he is in fact choice banned, which he seems to say, ooh, but Kush doesn't pull the trigger. I don't agree with that. I feel like Thunderbolt was definitely the play there, but okay. So now he's forcing this situation. If it's in fact a speed tie, I don't know. Ooh, perhaps that's a Scarf Zapdos then? Okay, I mean, I guess that does make sense, because generally the kind of person Kush is, he would just be like, oh, it's shit specs, I would use Volt Switch, which is fair. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Volt Switch Zapdos in general. And there we go. That is lame. Alright, so, if that's the case, then yeah, I think he can pretty safely go to Cobalion here. At this point, since he let it take the EQ, it's no longer a thing check. And ooh, look at Llamas. Look at him. Finger on the trigger like he's something incredibly offensive. I won't use your imagination. Anyway, if he's in fact choice banned, he will be sacking. He'd be sacking Sharpedo here. But I guess we'll never find out. But that should be the game, unless he's modest Scarf Zapdos and all kinds of ridiculous things happen, which shouldn't happen. Lame that it couldn't come down to RU, because, you know, then I'd actually be valuable here rather than just a mediocre commentator, but that's what you get sometimes. I hate these guys. I don't. They're good kids. So, congratulations to Kush. Congratulations to Llamas for looking this far. Nice Jinx sprite. I will see you next time. Hopefully, maybe. Listen to Neil Fram's Spaces. It's a cool record. Bye.